Hey everyone, I am here today with Nick Roberts, who goes by NoHo Nick, or actually that's actually the name of your newsletter. Is that right, Nick?
It is, yeah. No Nick in North Hollywood, California.
North Hollywood. All right. Well, I'm stoked to have you here, Nick. So let's just dive right into it. So first question, I literally was just talking to you about this right before we hit record. So I'm going to hear about it for the first time. Tell me about the name of the newsletter. So obviously NoHo stands for North Hollywood, which is the LA Northern LA area, right? But um, tell me about the name of having your name in the newsletter. What and how this all came about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in the San Fernando Valley in California, so or in Los Angeles, so it's like the northern part of LA County, and I kind of started this newsletter a little over a year ago, and in LA specifically, there are a lot of media outlets already, but they tend to cover it's called Over the Hill, so it's Hollywood. There's people out in Malibu. It's like the things that you think about when you think Los Angeles, but a lot of people, kind of the suburban part of LA is here in the San Fernando Valley, a lot of young families, professionals. And I started the newsletter because I found there was just kind of an empty space. I was always looking for events and things to do in the Valley, new restaurants. There was always all the cool stuff in LA gets covered, pretty all the hip new restaurants, but the like local pizza shop or the local dentist, it was just kind of uncovered. And so I started covering it. And when I started the newsletter, the NoHo Nick thing, it happened, started as a joke. My wife just used to just joke and call me NoHo Nick because we live in North Hollywood. And as I started kind of getting the wheels turning on starting a local newsletter, I might have shot myself in the foot a little bit by branding it as myself, but I think it helped a little bit because I've grown the newsletter all organically and I'm very present on social media. And so I think having a face to a name rather than just kind of a, San Fernando Valley buzz or something, it's been helpful to put a face to a name when I'm going out to events or stuff like that. So, I mean, it's probably pros and cons of being a local area or a local media person.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. Okay. Well, one thing you said there, I want to dig into. So you've grown 100% organically. So similar situation. I think there's pros and cons to that. And I've already seen one of the big pros, which is your numbers, your engagement numbers. But tell me the logic behind that, or how you've been thinking about it, and maybe and how you did it as well, because 3,000 is still pretty good to do organic.
Yeah, I think today we're probably going to cross about 3,000 subscribers. I hit 1,000 maybe 2 months ago, so it's really taken
Oh
off in the
wow.
last kind of 2 months. It was a slow build. Yeah, I guess my background, I've worked in startups for the last 10 years or so, kind of in the tech scene, and I think there's an ethos, at least at a lot of the companies that I've worked for, of being 100% bootstrapped. Basically, be profitable from day one and try not to borrow money, try not to go into debt to build the thing. And so I think in some ways it was really just a challenge to myself of is it possible to grow this thing without meta ads? Not for any sort of larger moral reason or uh, I'm confident it could be done. There's 100 examples of people running successful ad campaigns. So it wasn't out of fear or anything. I just decided to come at the problem a little bit differently. And yeah, I'm primarily been growing on TikTok, Instagram, and maybe 20% on Reddit. When I first started the newsletter, the challenge was how do you get people to read your newsletter if they don't know about it. I started my first couple of weeks, I would literally hang up posters around town, like, do you want to know what's going on in the neighborhood? And I just go staple them on lamp posts, stuff like that. That didn't work. The city took him down. I figured that out pretty quickly. And then I pivoted into let me share it on my local subreddits. There's the broader kind of there's usually a metro area, like the greater Austin area or the greater LA area. Those links tend to get taken down, but then there's the really small kind of 5,000 member subreddits of just one neighborhood or just a tiny Facebook group where I would share the links. And that kind of built momentum, but it was really once I started posting regularly on TikTok and Instagram, shouting out local businesses that things really took a turn.
Awesome. Okay. No, that sounds great. So tell me, actually, let's just dig into social media. It's something I'm thinking about a lot right now. So most people seem to be having the most success on Instagram.
Mhm.
Tell me what you're doing, what difference you're seeing between Instagram and TikTok.
So I think there's probably a lot. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen to TikTok. We're recording this in October. TikTok is supposed to go away at the end of 2025, so we'll see kind of what happens next. In my in my case, I have found that TikTok actually over-indexed compared to Instagram in terms of impact. And so I think number one, I started on TikTok. I did not start an Instagram first. I've personally been off of social media for a couple of years, kind of deleted it all off of my phone. But once I started the local newsletter, I faced the reality of trying to grow something organically by not using the most important channels for distribution is just a fool's errand. There's only so many times I can post on Reddit. There's only so many posters I can hang up around town. And I started to get this itch of like, it'd probably be smart to be on the social channels that people are using. So I got TikTok first, and I found that to just be easier to create in natively. So I do a lot of almost every single video that I post is a green screen video where I screenshot an event poster, a flyer, or the Instagram post about it, like, hey, this coffee shop just opened, or whatever it is. I screenshot it and then green screen inside of the TikTok app. That just works. It works almost flawlessly. It's kind of scary how good it is at removing all the junk behind you. And so I post and edit everything in TikTok because I can get videos up in just a couple of minutes. And then I started an Instagram after that as just a republish channel. So basically, I maybe post 2 times a day, 3 times a day on TikTok of a little local business because it takes me 5 minutes to just record a quick video. And then the one that performs best on TikTok is the one that I'll go over to Instagram and will actually tag the business and usually invite them as a collaborator on the post, not just tagging them. I'll say, do you want to collaborate? And I find that a lot of local businesses they're starved for media about their coffee shop or their event, and so they'll agree to be the collaborator, and that ends up on their feed as like an additional touch point of distribution.
Yeah, this just came up recently. I'm not an expert at this because I haven't really dug in too much yet. The collaborator thing literally came up yesterday.
Mm,
So can you explain, yeah, the difference between or the extra value you get doing that versus I think the
sure.
standard, the way I thought about it was just tagging the business.
Yeah, so I think in some cases you would want to just tag the business. So you put up a post and you say, I use whatever, Dr. Bronner's soap. You can tag Dr. Bronner's or Dove soap or whatever it is. And that creates a one-way relationship between your piece of content and the business. So I watch it, I go, wow, this looks really good. I can click on the business name and go and see their profile. I think we're all kind of familiar with the idea of tagging on Instagram at this point. The collaborator feature, which is still relatively new, allows you and another creator on the platform to kind of share audiences. So I can invite them to basically participate in the network effects of my piece of content. So instead of it just being pushed to my followers and my algorithm, it will essentially be posted to their feed and to their algorithm as well. And it'll show up on both of our profiles and grids as a piece of content, as though we collaborated on creating it together. I have heard rumors. I talked to a friend who used to work at Google, and she was talking to a friend who's on the YouTube team. Allegedly, collaborator posts are going to come to YouTube soon. So in the same way, videos can get posted on my channel, your newsletter channel, and it can just increase the reach overall. And a lot of businesses seem to really like it. Like they're not making enough posts about their
Yeah,
business to begin with. So
makes so much logical sense. So that's really cool. Okay, because now you're helping them too with yeah, giving them content on their page as opposed to just people seeing the content from you and the tag there. Now it's like literally filling their feed. So they get value out of having more content on their page. So that actually makes a lot of sense. That can even be valuable in terms of the advertising side, right? If you're charging businesses for something like this.
can I color in the lines a little bit on it too?
Yeah.
That I I feel like typically, I'm sure you've noticed this, a lot of local businesses, they'll make a flyer for an event and they'll post it on their Instagram and it'll get 35 likes. Food festival this weekend, whatever. And it's a text post it's either a bunch of text in the image or it's just like a poorly designed graphic with not enough information. As soon as you post a video, like a talking head video about the event, even if I'm just reading the information that's there, the Instagram algorithm especially really favors that over just a generic. I mean, we've all seen them now, just like food festival this weekend, $10. It's like all of the Instagram does not want to publish that, but a talking head can give a lot of life to an otherwise stale piece of creative.
That's a really good point. A lot of people are doing the like repurpose your events section and maybe just pick the best five, right? And make a little graphic or something with a moving background that's like, oh, top 5 events this week. And maybe the answer is still do that, but then just talk about it and just like say, oh, look at this event. This one's going on. Oh, that sounds like it's gonna be super fun. Oh, I might go there with my family this weekend. This one over here looks cool. And just like give 30 seconds of commentary on it on the 5 events, and there you go. And now your chances of success on it are significantly higher. That makes a lot of sense.
I've experimented, maybe this is valuable to somebody, but I've experimented kind of with, I think about the newsletter basically as my reservoir. So I'll go and do all the hard work of, you put together the 10 or 15 coolest events. My ultimate, like, my KPI or goal is, can I get people to sign up for the newsletter? That's my highest impact touch point. But on social media, every week, I try to chop up the content in the newsletter slightly differently. So some weeks I will group, in my area, there's multiple kind of small neighborhoods. And so sometimes I'll do a roundup post of the top 3 events in like one tiny part of town. I'll be like, these are the 3 best things, excuse me. These are the 3 best things going on in Burbank specifically, and I'll round those up and I'll do a talking head video, and I'll do the thing where it's just like a cool, pretty picture with floating text over it. I'll like repurpose it 3 or 4 times into chopping and slicing. Here's the best events in the Valley. Here's the best events in Burbank. Here's an image of the best events in Burbank. Here's me talking about the best events in Burbank. Here's me talking about one of them, and I'll tag the business. And so I try to kind of get 3 or 4 posts out of the same thing over and over, because you just never know what's going to perform well.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. I mean, that's the thing with social media, right? In so many ways, it's kind of the opposite of the newsletter, where the newsletter is going to grow, slow and steady, relatively speaking. But social media, you don't know what's going to hit, and the one thing that hits could be massive, right? I know, can't remember which newsletter, but somebody who's crushing it on Instagram credits it all to just one post that just went crazy viral and just was so powerful for them, and it set them up for success. And this was like probably 2 years ago. They've just been successful since because of one amazing. Now I'm sure all their content's good after that, right? But like the fact that the algorithm picked it up and everybody loved it, like that set the stage for them going forward. And unfortunately, that doesn't really happen with a newsletter itself, right? Because of the shareability of social media and the algorithm.
Yeah, I think the most viral piece of content that I have, basically once a week, I try to just post a like a selfie video that just says what I do. Like, hey, do you live here? Are you looking for events? It's just like a 20-second thing. The biggest video I've ever had on Instagram is literally me just saying, like, do you live in the San Fernando Valley? And always say, I don't know what to do this weekend. I send a weekly newsletter. I'd love to have you. It's like a short thing, and it went gangbusters. And once a week, I just make a new version of that and put it up, and more people find it. Oh my God, I didn't know this. It's crazy how the algorithms just feed the stuff to the people that need it.
I think the other thing you're saying that's really interesting, in terms of, number one, that's a good idea, and I should probably do literally what you just said. But I think even more interesting is the fact that you said you did it multiple times, and it's something that goes 100% against my instincts, and I think a lot of people's instincts, which is to say, hey, I made a video doing something, or I put, for me, I do a lot of Twitter, right? Like I wrote about something on Twitter, and being like, well, then it's done. Like I put it out there and it's done. And it's like, that is it. It feels like, oh, I don't want to go say the same thing. The person who saw my stuff before is going to see that I just wrote something very similar, or in some cases, literally the same thing. And it's like, it instinctively feels correct, but it's absolutely the wrong way to think about it because of the algorithm, right? Most people do, unless something went crazy viral, which, right, most things don't. most people even in your audience didn't see it, much less people not in your audience that they might show it to. So nobody saw it, right? Even if you got a decent tryout, you got 100 likes and 3,000 views, it's like nobody really saw it. So just do it again, right? And then it also works with the human nature side of like information goes inside people's brains and out a second later. Like even if they did see it last week, they don't really care. They probably forgot. Like anyway, I'm just glad you said that because I feel like I needed that reminder to do things, especially if they work. Just keep remixing them and doing them over and over.
I think about you're dead on. I think about it a lot. Like maybe it's just like I have a background in playing music and stuff, and I think about it like being a band. You go to see a
Yeah,
concert, shut up and
you
play the
want to hear the
hits.
songs we've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
hear the same thing that I trust
yeah.
you for. Play the thing that I know, and just like exposing somebody to a new song, they play the same top 10 songs on the radio every hour ad nauseum, months and months at a time. That's the only way it's going to become like an earworm, or you
Yeah.
remember, oh, that's right, that is that new Justin Bieber song or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And for it, literally for the video you're talking about of, hey, here's who I am. Here's what we do. Here's why we provide value to you and why you should subscribe. You want to hit people over the head with that a bunch of times, right? Because they might hear it once and be like, oh, sounds interesting. Oh, what's on this screen over here? But if they hear it 4 times, 5 times, it might stick in their brain. Like, yeah, you know what? I keep hearing that guy say that. Yeah, I probably should, right? We all know this in sales, right? They got to hear from you at least 7 times. Now it's probably 10 to 15. So technically, what you just said, like that type of content, we are trying to sell them on signing up for the newsletter. So it actually makes a lot of sense. I
One,
appreciate that.
stop me if I rabbit hole too much on
Yeah.
some of these
No,
things.
good.
My a trick that I love. I don't know if you can do it on Instagram, but on TikTok, it's like a pretty prominent feature. You can reply to comments with videos. So
Mm,
if you hit
okay.
reply, if somebody leaves a nice comment for you, you can hit reply and record a video and basically say thank you. The growth hack for the hey, I'm Nick, I send a weekly newsletter, that video, every time I post that video, people will comment and say, I've been getting this for months and I love it. That people post their mini testimonials in the comment section, and it makes it super duper easy to just jump in there, click reply, pick a great comment like this newsletter changed my life or whatever the thing is, hit reply, record a video, and then it'll pin the comment to the top of the video. That it's basically like you can't write better ad copy than
Yeah,
that. Like this newsletter changed my
that's
life
awesome.
in the San Fernando Valley or something. And I go, great. If you're looking for more events like this, and it's like a flywheel every week, there's an endless supply of people saying, I like this.
Ah, dude, I love that. No, that's really good. Hey, on this, how are you posting? Because there's another thing I'm thinking
Mm.
about as I'm about to dive into social media more. You hear the story of using the can't remember what you call those tools, like where you post to all the platforms at once. Um,
Mm.
that they can like hurt your reach, but it also saves so much time and effort. Do you post these things individually? Do you use a tool like that? What are you doing?
So I have maybe two pieces of guidance. One, I post manually across all the platforms. It's easier, or it's easy enough right now that it's a low enough lift that I can record the video natively on TikTok. I guess my flow is this. I open up Instagram most of the time. I spend 10 minutes looking through whatever my feed has fed me, because at this point it knows that I follow every local business that posts events. So I'll scroll for 10 minutes and I'll favorite maybe 3 or 4. Oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. It's coming up this week. And I'll favorite it and I'll screenshot every one. I'll go, wow, food festival, new barber shop that opened, whatever the things are that I would normally put in my newsletter. I screenshot them. I open up TikTok. I click the green screen button and choose the photo that I just screenshotted as my background. I'll record the video. It automatically puts captions on there, and I'll put this big stupid banner above that says new barbershop, whatever, North Hollywood, whatever the big headline is. It automatically downloads to my phone after it gets published on TikTok. That happens automatically. And then I immediately open Instagram and post over there. If I record maybe 3 or 4 in a row on TikTok, like I mentioned earlier, I'll just wait until the end of the day to see which one got the most engagement. And then I'll use that making it on Instagram takes a little bit more time because you have to invite the other person to be a collaborator. There's a location function where you can actually tag a lot of these are local businesses. So you can go and tag the physical location. That seems to help with neighborhood reach. The other piece of guidance that I have, through my day job, I was actually talking to somebody who builds tools on the back of the Instagram API for like kind of social reach tools. And she was saying for some of the clients that they've noticed absolutely no difference in organic reach between posting through Hootsuite, or I'm dating myself. I don't know what the cool tools are anymore, but she's said that. But I've heard, well, I guess prompting your question, I've heard that posting manually it makes a difference. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. No. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, to be clear though, so you do have a day job?
I do. Not doing the newsletter full time. I do marketing full time. I've worked in tech and startups for a while.
So reason being is in terms of you don't need this to be profitable. I assume in the short term. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. It takes a lot of the pressure off. It's not a big milestone, but I finally broke even on the newsletter this week, where the incoming ads have finally paid for the tech stack for the newsletters on Beehive. There's I pay for ChatGPT annual, some of the other, all the little miscellany tools. So I finally clicked over that point, and now I'm curious where it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I want to get into the monetization, however you're getting that. But before that, let's just talk real quick. One of the positives I had mentioned. So you have 3,000, which is good. I mean, it's not massive, but that's like legit.
Mm-hmm.
But you have crazy good engagement, open rate and click rate. So tell everybody what your open and click rates are.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's average open rate on Beehive. I'll read the technical numbers. Open rate on Beehive is 84%, and click-through rate is about 23% right now. And that fluctuates. Sometimes it's lower, 20, up to 30, 35%. I think it's, I'm curious, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Yeah. I think that it's a function of, number one, being that it's organic. You have to take multiple steps to sign up. When you're running ads, Meta makes it really easy. It's very frictionless to get from the post to being a subscriber. Whereas when it's organic, you have to actually, if you see me on TikTok, you got to go to Google, type in NoHo Nick, go to the website, put in your email. You get a double confirmation email. So there's a multiple touch points between you getting the idea to sign up and then becoming a subscriber. But I'm curious on your end, how you think about open rates or the click-through rates.
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers you have are crazy. That's probably the highest I've heard for a local newsletter. So congrats. Thanks. If anybody has a higher one, let me know. But yeah, that's really good. I do think, again, can't say I'm a true expert in this. But from what I see, looking at other people's stuff, my own stuff, some of the changes, I think it really does boil down to the fact that it's organic. That's really what it is. To your point of, I think, ads makes it so the ad specifically too is who's engaging with it, right? So I think they're putting it in front of people who are maybe more, how do you politely say so? Not thinking through things super deeply, maybe people who are very social media centric and not email people, or whatever it is. There's reasons that you're throwing stuff in front of somebody that some of those people are just going to not be ideal readers. Where when you do what you're doing, pretty much everybody has to be like, oh my gosh, I am proactively wanting to be doing this 100% and had to put in extra effort to get there. Means you're going to have a higher engagement rate. So I think that there may be some other minor things, but I think that seems like the obvious answer. I think the question becomes, it's size versus quality. It's kind of the stereotypical thing, right? You can grow much bigger, faster, so many things, but your engagement's going to go down, and that's just a function. It's the same thing. A lot of these, even though I think the really good ones, like the Morning Brew types, the really big newsletters, their click rates are super low, 1-2%. And it's just a function of being that large, right? Having that big of an audience. But, you can make the argument that those ones crush it. They make a ton of money, right? Even though their click rate. So this is where you kind of have to gauge. I mean, my only pushback to you, which is totally stupid because you're the one with crazy good engagement numbers, but the sad truth is most local businesses don't even know what those things are, right?
Yep.
So it's like, okay, because I'm dealing with this now. One of our newsletters is pretty low. I think it's a domain issue or something. But anyway, it's like, oh, what should we do about this? And it's like, well, nobody asks us. Like, no advertisers even ask. So it's kind of like, is it really that big of a deal to have great engagement numbers? I mean, it is, but it's not the be all end all. So I don't know. What do you think?
I I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
This is a problem I am just now kind of discovering, and I think something I learned from watching. I don't even remember who you had on. Maybe I'll have to go back and dig through the archive. But after having watched your channel for a while, I started listening to more and more people basically say that local businesses, at least at this point in time, Instagram is like their measure of the world.
That's
And
right.
so if your Instagram account is big, the newsletter, when you're talking to them, is basically an add-on. Maybe they read the newsletter or somebody forwarded it and said, hey, I saw my buddy Joe's barbecue got featured. I think you should be in here. And that's how they reach out. But they're not thinking in terms of clicks or they don't have a marketing funnel. Instagram is
No.
just a clearer, hey, 8,000 people watched our video. That's a win. That's a success. And so it's been I think you're spot on that my calibration has been shifting into maybe now that the newsletter has made it out of the whole profitability, it's like finally revenue positive. I can start running ads. I can start growing just that top number because you can say the newsletter has 5,000 people or 10,000 people, and then the converse, great, cool. That they don't dig deeper than that. They don't know how many people are going to click my ad. So that's been a recalibration for me to think about it maybe a little differently.
Yeah, I think it's good. It doesn't mean you have to focus on this 100%, but it's good to keep in mind and to understand that the pros and the cons of what we do, right, is our advertisers are not sophisticated because in the B2B world or these AI newsletters or tech newsletters, like the people you're selling to, they know about this stuff really deeply, right? So I guess if you have bad numbers, that's bad. If you have good ones, it's good. And it's kind of the opposite for us, right? But the other thing that I was talking to somebody about it yesterday of how much local business owners still are just all about print. And it just almost in the sense of it's that whole like mental thing of, look, I can hold this thing physically in my hand, somehow makes it more real or viable, even though of course it really doesn't. But it's just the mentality just has not caught up to where the people like us doing this understand these local business owners. They just don't at all. And
It's
it's a challenge.
yeah, I feel like it's. I mean, I kind of it's a little human nature. I think having
Yeah.
a physical artifact of your business to show when you go home for Thanksgiving and say, "Look, Mom, we're in the magazine. Look,
Mhm.
Dad, we're on the billboard." Even if it's expensive and even if it doesn't convert, it's a mental anchor that something has changed. Whereas
Yes.
clicks, you can't be like, "Hey, Mom, I got 18 clicks today." It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
did.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Yep. No, I totally agree. I think there is absolutely something to that for sure. So tell
One,
me about.
oh,
Oh no, go ahead.
sorry. I was going to
Go
ask
ahead.
you a question because
Yeah.
something you've touched on is specifically print, and I think maybe something that I'm excited about. I'm not trying to start a print newsletter, but you've talked often about the delta in basically ad spend that local businesses will spend a lot more money on print. It seems like
Yeah.
even
Oh yeah.
today. I mean, I get you get the bulletins, they tape them to the front door, you get that sort of stuff, and you go, who the hell is advertising in these things? And you start doing the mental math of, or you see the ad rate chart, you're like $500 for like a
It
square.
is.
It's you've talked about it before. Like, have you had any success in talking to maybe some of those legacy businesses that have been in print and then they're like, oh, maybe we want to do more digital?
So the little bit that's changed, that's a little interesting. I would recommend everybody go listen to it. There's a guy named Keith Pepper who was on a show, and I can't remember what show it was, but it was in the last 2 weeks or something. He runs a local media company called I think it's Rough Draft Atlanta, and he was on a show recently, kind of really diving into this. So I think I put it in one of my newsletters, or I will soon. But actually, no, I think it's the one that's about to go out. So get my newsletter, by the way, if anybody about newsletters, and I'll post about this in there. But anyway, he did this whole episode talking about he bought this company that was a legacy local media company with print, and then he came in and kind of did, it's still print, but they do, newsletters more and stuff now. And he talked a lot about how and why print is still such a big part of their business. And yeah, just getting into the mindset of business owners. And again, there are some valid reasons as well. It's not like it's all dumb. Print is good in its own way, but I think a lot of it is just it's just the mentality of these businesses. So you got to meet them where they are, right? And if that's what they want, like, have something for them. I mean, I think the thing that's interesting to me is, whether it's the postcard thing or these kind of like mini magazines, because doing like a full-on magazine or like a full-on newspaper, just, again, it's possible that lots of people are crushing it, but it does seem hard to start from zero. He even said that. I talked to him last week too about this, and he was like, yeah, starting a true like newspaper from scratch is just like so hard. He again bought into it, was already existing. So, but I do think doing a 16-page, like very simple, almost like a brochure type of thing would be really interesting, because that can be revenue positive while also getting your brand out there, right? And that's where it's interesting, but it's a lot of work, so I'm not. I'll deal with that one later.
We're spread
what do
thin.
you think?
Yeah,
exactly. Is this something that you're thinking about, whether the postcard thing, the small simple magazine, or like a real one? What are you thinking?
I go back and forth. I think it's a bandwidth thing, like for all of us. Right before the call started, I mean, we were even just joking that nothing is happening until it's all happening, kind of thing. With, you come home and you open up your inbox and it's very exciting, but you're like, oh, I have these advertisers that need to approve the copy. This person wants me to upload the video for them to review, whatever that is. The work kind of grows into itself. In terms of physical media, an idea I've had, I mean, we're all full of ideas. I used to hang posters, but I thought about just before. It used to just be like, do you want the local news in your inbox? Here's a QR code kind of thing, before I knew what I was doing. But now I'm kind of curious about basically taking the top 3 events every week, putting them on a little flyer, and go and staple those or leave them at the local coffee shops on the bulletin boards that are like, here's the top 3 events this weekend. I can develop a relationship with some of the local businesses that way. Put it up on the bulletin board and people check them. At least here in my neighborhood, there's a lot of actors, musicians, and there's always flyers and ads for like, do you want headshots? Do you want me to film your video? Do you want to work on a press kit? That sort of thing. So people see the bulletin boards. I've thought about like a NoHo Nick branded like weekly events flyer that might turn into leads. But yeah, I think the physical media thing is just, unless there's a unique angle to it, it sounds a little bit like a time sink for me. I don't know that I could do a monthly or bi-monthly publication in any sort of economical way right now.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I mean, at your stage, even in my, like, I'm just got too many things going on, but I think it's good to kind of keep it in the back of your mind and not write it off, right? I think even when I kind of was at the beginning of the journey, it was like, oh, I'm writing this off, right? But I think it's good. It's just, I think that's a good life lesson. Like, don't write anything off, because you never know what's going to change or what may be possible. So as maybe I'm able to scale more, that may be something I put more effort in to see if I can pull that off. Because if I can, then it's, especially my kids, I can redo it over and over in all the different locations we have. Hey, one thing that you just mentioned that's interesting, I'm wondering if you thought of this. One of the things I think about a lot with us having like an audience is the ability to kind of make deals with certain businesses to say, hey, if you do this for the audience, then I'll promote you. And it kind of becomes this positive flywheel or loop where everyone wins. And you just mentioned like, okay, yeah, you're near Hollywood, so a lot of actors and they need their headshots. It's one of those things. Have you ever thought about something in the realm of finding a photographer to say, hey, I'm going to do an event, or I'm going to do something physical in a physical location, and the draw will be, I'm going to talk about it in my newsletter. Hey, if you're an actor or anybody, a business person, you want professional headshots, NoHo Nick is hosting this blank event where we're going to do them for you for free. And then you get that photographer to do it for free, and she's going to do it because you say, hey, I'm going to talk about this in the newsletter. I'm going to talk about it on social media, and I'm going to run ads for you. And then you kind of are building this positive flywheel of people loving how much you're helping them, how much you're helping the community, getting the word out. Again, this is just one example. I like this concept in so many ways, but in your case specifically, because of how many people probably want headshots where you
Hmm.
are.
I yes, bingo, bingo, bingo. I so I'll preface this. I have a friend who lives in New York. He's a full-time photographer, kind of a professional business photographer. He does photos for big brands and does headshots for executives and stuff like that. And he's maybe once a year or so he'll host a pop-up event where he'll do free headshots for any business professional. You want a new photo for your email signature or whatever. It's a great way to get people into, especially in New York, but it's a great way to get a bunch of local business owners into one location, and that turns into recurring business for him. I think piggybacking off of that idea, it's not something I have done, what you're asking, but it is very top of mind now that there's this audience for the local newsletter. I can't realistically scale my own events business, like me putting on the NoHo Food Festival, the NoHo whatever. That's unscalable. But the idea of partnering with specific local businesses that are relevant to my niche to put on I'll handle all the advertising. And I don't know what the business relationship is, but basically I handle all the ads, you host the event, and we'll either split the ticket cost or the first one's free, or we figure something out. Because I think like a lot of us, we collect a lot of input data in a welcome survey about ages, interests, demographics, psychographics, all those sorts of things, that it makes it a little easier to go to a photographer or something. I can go and say, hey, a third of my audience works in entertainment, and I know that, and they're between this age and this age. Do you want to try a pop-up thing or a coffee shop party or something like that? It's very top of mind. That feels like the next step for me above. I'm not yet at the point of let me host happy hours once a month or let me be the guy to do it, but can we co-brand?
Yeah.
Can we co-brand something that makes sense for both of us?
I love it. That's exactly how I'm thinking about things too. Of course, we want to make the lift as easy as possible. I mean, this sounds very similar to what Jazz did in when he did something similar with like farmers markets, right?
Mm,
So have you should go back and listen to that. That was probably a few months ago when he talked
okay.
in detail about like it was probably May or June. He talked about doing this for the summer farmers markets where this company or these guys were doing these farmers markets, but they need to get the word out. So they kind of co-branded it as Winnipeg Digest, I think, and whatever
Mm.
the other name was. And he was responsible for the marketing side of talking about it a bunch in the newsletter. And so he got some sort of percentage from the business. So I
That's
think
really
short
clever.
term, yeah. I think short term in your, he's already really big. So, he could justify the money side. I think in your shoes, I'd probably just start doing this stuff for free just to just see how it goes. Right. And then
Mhm.
once you find something that's working, then boom, then you start figuring out how to monetize it properly.
I wish I remember. I'm so bad with remembering everybody's names. There's a guy who runs a local newsletter in Orlando, Florida. It's called the
Yeah.
Orlando Signal. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
had
That
him.
Philip. I think
Philip,
Philip. Yeah.
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 And was on the phone with him. So I'm from Orlando. Like before I moved to LA, I was from Florida. And I was on the phone with him a couple of months ago, and he was describing exactly this, that in Orlando, there's obviously a lot of tourists. And so there were a lot of existing businesses that did things like ghost tours, like a ghost tour, walking tour, food crawls, pub crawls, basically around the tourist areas in Orlando. Disney World is there. And he figured out a way to just partner with one of them and say, hey, instead of for tourists, let's do it for locals. Like, come explore the local spots you probably haven't been to. They run the whole thing. They already have the forms, the signups. And he's just like, if you give me, I don't know what the percentage is, if you give me 25% of the ticket sales, I'll promote one of these a month or something. And that, I was like, that's genius. That's a great idea.
Yep. Again, that is a great idea because with what we're doing, there's so many great ideas that you can come up with, right? Which is what makes it so fun. There's so many different angles to take at this, and it's can be overwhelming if you're the type of person like me where you love to just have ideas and sometimes can struggle with executing on them. But it is fun, and it also just hits on one of my favorite concepts. I was talking about it this morning with my mastermind. Uh, they brought it up, even though I love it so much, which is who, not how, right? Meaning you don't always, and in some cases, don't want to think about problems as how do I solve it? It's who can I get to solve it for me or with me,
Hmm.
right? And there's a whole book about it that's really good. But just thinking who, not how, is a really great thing to sometimes step back because a lot of times you'll think to yourself, oh, I can't do that. And it's like, well, who said you have to? Go find somebody who can do it. Right. I mean, a big one of
Fascinating.
this with us is sales, of course, right? Like, okay, can you find somebody who can do sales for you? Yeah, you don't want to do it. You don't have time to do it. See if you can find somebody to. Now, doesn't mean it's easy, but if you're able to, that can be a game changer, right? I mean, this is how big businesses get built. Like you have partners or you have people who do things for you that you can't or don't want to do or don't have time to do. So,
That's I would at risk of derailing. I'm new to the advertising thing. I've kind of stumbled into people started reaching out and saying I would love to advertise. This seems valuable. I want to get in front of your audience. Can I advertise? And I've kind of stumbled my way into ad rates using Claude and ChatGPT, like how do other local newsletters price CPM and all of that. And I've kind of just made up numbers. But like you're saying, maybe there's a step two of if this is the floor and people are willing to pay it. If you have a salesperson who's like, at a minimum, you can take 20% of this number, but go make it up. Go negotiate, see what's out there. How have you thought about ad rates, or do you have like a formula, or is it just pretty cut and dry?
I don't yet, because I'm just I was working with somebody where I was gonna have to do this soon, but it's kind of on pause right now to find that who for me on the sales end. So I've kind of slowed down on it. But I do think, to your point, coming back to the paper version of this, it's like, okay, why are these papers, they can get so much money relatively, even these magazines, right? Like the neighborhood magazines, the really glossy, fancy magazines, but they send them to very few people in the rich neighborhoods. And it's because they have really good salespeople who attack sales and they have great sales process, right? I mean, that's one thing to always keep in mind with this stuff is, you know, the truth is most people doing this right now, probably people watching this, are people like you and me. We're kind of solopreneur types, trying to do a bunch of things. Maybe you have a full-time job or another part-time job. You don't have time to attack this. These big legacy local media companies, they have, I mean, some of them have probably multiple salespeople full time. This is all they do. They're experts at it. They have all the comparables in the past, right? And so we're just also, most of us are kind of new at this, trying to figure it out. So and then of course the fact that because we don't have all these great metrics necessarily of like, oh well, this advertiser crushed it with this, and because the local businesses are more, again, not understanding of the digital world in this way, those two issues combined kind of can make it difficult. But with the right person and the right effort, you can solve this. I mean, it's crazy to see these home magazines in the rich neighborhoods, how much money they make, and they're like, I don't know. I don't think they're valuable for the people paying for them. Let's just say that, right? It's more of a status game, right? For I think the types of businesses they're selling, it's status.
It's like a personal branding. I can only speak. I have like some adjacent experience in helping like real estate agents advertise,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easy. It's nice to be able when you're on a call or you're out at somebody's house to be like, well, we're in the Burbank magazine. Like you've seen us, our logo and our brokerage, or here we're in the community. It's an easy visual.
Yeah, totally. Although I will say too, here's maybe another piece of information that's valuable to people is I found somebody who's going to work with me on doing more social media because I just don't have time to do what you're doing. I want to do it, but I just can't.
Sure.
So I'm again, who not how, right? So I found somebody who is a realtor who is going to do this for me, and she is, when I kind of explained to her what I would help her with, one of them was that she can put her houses inside the newsletter. You know, we put 3 houses in the newsletter. And so why that matters to her is when she goes to sell a client on why they should sign with her and not one of the other 500 realtors in the area, she now can put in front of them and say, hey, you know this newsletter, whether they do or not, whatever, hopefully they do, but she'll show it to them. Hey, this is a newsletter that gets, in this case, has 11,000 subscribers that get this every week. I am going to put your house inside of this. Nobody else can say that because I'm in charge of it. So every other realtor you're talking to, they're going to tell you they're going to do this, this, and this. I can do everything they're going to do. Plus, I'm going to put you in this newsletter with 11,000 local people looking at it. And so that's a huge advantage for her, selling people on why they should sign with her versus anybody else. And so I think that's, sometimes it's good. It's like we as the local newsletter people have to like, I wouldn't have thought about that until she told me right? Of like her how doing this with me helps her sales pitch to her clients. Like it just was beyond me. And then she explained it. And it's like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
So anyway, hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that's I think that's I've had so many I just have to figure it out. I've had so many real estate agents kind of reach out and say, can I be a featured house in the thing every week, or can I own and buy that spot? I just have to figure
Mhm.
out what that means. Like the
Well,
distribution is key.
you are obviously one of the best locations, probably in the world to because your real estate is so valuable in that area. That is definitely the most valuable space or whatever in your newsletter. So, um, and because for me, I'm kind of giving it to her because she's going to do social media for me. Well, you're already doing social media, so you don't need to give it to anybody. So then, yeah, you should be charging, potentially really good money for that. So,
I got to get on it. That's good. That's
yeah, you
good
should.
inside baseball.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, where you are with the competition and the value out there, I mean, they get one deal in a year and it was whatever they gave you, it was probably worth it times 10, right? So and
That's
then now you know this, if they aren't smart enough to figure it out, you tell them this pitch. Hey, when you go sit with people, you tell them, that they're going to be able to be in this newsletter that nobody else can be in. Plus social media, right? You can make an agreement. How many followers do you have, by the way, on TikTok and Instagram?
I think TikTok. I hit. I think it's maybe 11,000 on
Oh,
TikTok and
wow.
about
Okay.
4,000 on Instagram.
Okay. So that I mean, this are legit, and you're probably going to be growing really fast here. It sounds like it's speeding up. So yeah, I think that's I would definitely urge you to get on the real estate before anything else, because of
That's
how valuable that is. Yeah.
after I get off of it. I got some
Um,
DMs to respond to. Then I'll make it happen.
Go do that, and then start DMing some realtors. Um, Nick, this has been really great. Appreciate you coming on. This is some really good stuff. Tell everybody, do you want anybody to reach out to you, or find out what you're doing? Tell them where to find
Sure.
you.
Yeah, it's nohonick.com is the newsletter. I thanks so much for having me, being on
Yeah.
or even just watching the videos. I've been able to reach out to so many other people here in LA and in California doing newsletters, and I've made a lot of great connections that way. So feel free to reach out. It's hi@nohonick.com is the email. It's nohonick on all the socials, and yeah, I appreciate you taking the time. I feel like I learned a lot.
Awesome. Well, same here. Appreciate you, Nick.
Yeah,
All right.
have a great
See
rest of
ya.
the week.
You too. Bye.